Today we are building a fantastic pair of new wheels for Chris. We've got Chris King hubs, which he's well acquainted with, and a Enve 4.5 wheel, 4.5 rim, and I'll talk you through the process. We're going to line up the hub logo nicely, so it's straight in the sight of the valve hole. We'll start with the drive side. We're doing a 2-cross pattern. 2 spokes on, and then I cheat a little bit. I use a drill to wind them up. To make the process a hell of a lot faster. It's the most efficient.
So why'd you flip the wheel?
So I'm always dropping spokes down, so you're never pulling up and resting a spoke on the rim. So now we're going to add even turns on every spoke, just so they're not super flexy in here. So there's a tiniest bit of tension on it, and that acts as a good starting point. So I'll probably do, say, 3 complete turns on each spoke, so everything is all completely even. So you know that each spoke has exactly the same amount of turns in. Yeah, so we get some tension in it. Then we'll make it a little bit straight, a little bit up and downy. Pop it in the distresser, get it all settled, and then we really start working on the wheel. Always start at the valve hole so that I know exactly where to finish, so you don't end up going over yourself about 3 times. There's a little bit of tension in there. I'm going to go around and pop another couple of turns on, I think. You always want a little bit of spoke on that nipple, just so it's really strong. Basically, you can get good full coverage of the spoke. There you go. It's relatively straight. I'm going to go to the manual tool because it's starting to get a little bit tighter. Just take out the rest of that bagginess, and then we can start putting it in. Right now, I'm just making it as it's nowhere near perfect, as true as possible, just so I can get it into distresser. If it's not true and the wheel's waving all over the place, when the distresser puts pressure down, you're just going to end up bending that rim. I think it's pretty good. So this is like the first settle, so you might hear quite a few noises. Pop it in here. To pop it about 40 psi, which is equivalent of 87 kilogram force, which is a nice starting point for as much as you really want to do on a wheel like this.
Jack, something to get on camera.
Guys at Enve love that. And they don't debate it either, it's even better. There you go, so you can see it's pushed it, added true again, which is as expected. It's just bedded in all the spoke heads, bedded the nipples in little to the rim, and we can crack on with the prop build. So now I just try and get it again as true as possible. Won't be anywhere near perfect. That's still barely any tension in it whatsoever. There's a bit of a hop in the rim, so the wheel's not sitting perfectly round, which means that the wheel is basically sitting a bit like an egg. And we want to make that as round as possible. By doing this, we can add tension on spokes to pull the rim in certain areas, and relieve the tension, sort of undo the spoke a little, so it lets the wheel settle out. These all the Enve road wheels use an internal nipple. So you'll see there's no like outside nipple sat on the rim bed. They build really well, so you're never constantly truing them up or anything. So every step, just make it a little bit rounder, make it a little bit truer, get the tension more and more even until there's no more you can do. Now at the moment it's sitting pretty round and relatively true. So because there's still not too much tension at all in the spokes. We'll need to balance it to make sure that each spoke has exactly the same tension on it, and then make sure it's all in dish. But before we do any of that, because I've done quite a lot of adjustments, we're going to pop it back into distresser. Now, because it's sort of mid-build, instead of a quick squeeze, we really want to just settle every spoke, because we're going to be doing a tension in a minute. So for this, you've got a different profile, so instead of a quick up and down as it was when just setting the spokes. This is more of a compression in there. With this, you can whack it right up to say 80. I'm going to say it's 175 kilos of force. That's more than 2 people, essentially bouncing on that rim, and you'll still not get too much movement out of it, but you at least move a little. And the rim's fine. I mean, it's built to take all of that. Yeah, it's impressive when it's built well, what these rims and hubs and spokes can take.
Yeah.
With Enve, there's no weight limit on anything, any of their rims. So now it's pretty round and it's pretty in true. We're going to check the tension. There's already a little bit in there, not a whole heap. We want to start balancing the wheel, but in order to get a nice even balance, we do want a little bit more tension in there. This is a SAPM gauge, used made by P&K Lai, but it's basically measuring the deflection on the spoke, so how much the spoke can bend. And the dial up here, that is the deflection rate number, it's just a digit on here, is 0.6, that's at 1, 0.3, 0.8, 0.7, 0.9, so you can tell it's sort of all over the place. To start getting good tension in it, so these non-drive have some tension in too, I'm going to pop another half turn and see where we are. Ideally you want to see that sort of averaging around 0.9. You basically go around as many times as necessary to make it as perfectly even as possible. Okay, so now we're nearing the end of the build. We just want to really settle these spokes into the hub and rim. So we've gone for the third profile, and you'll notice this is just even more of a really nice squeeze. There we go, so the non-drive spokes are now perfectly balanced. I'm just checking the drive side to make sure that they haven't moved anywhere, and they're all sitting quite pretty at 1.15. The tension you want to be at, as I said earlier, is 120 kilogram of force, and that on the dial is 1.52, so still under tension. But more importantly, we're looking really true and we're looking really round, so all we need to do now is bring that tension up. Before though, I'm going to check a dish, make sure that the rim's hitting the centre of the hub, and then we know that we can just work on bringing that tension up nice and evenly. A little bit out by a mil, so that's probably half a mil to the other side. That's okay, we can work with that because that's only a very small turn. Now we'll check the tension again. Last time it was 1.15, now it's 1.25. So there we go, it's got a bit more tension in. And we keep going around until built pretty much perfect tension in it. Almost there. Yeah, happy with that. Yeah, good. There we go. Let's get some tyres on them.
It probably back sounds better now because it's bedded in a bit.
So now we're getting ready to mount some tyres. So with this, I want to clean a rim bed. So normally I use either one of the whites from the tubeless kit or some nice alcohol spray onto a rag. Let's get it all nice and clean. Tubeless tape. We're going to start just before the valve hole and cross over that valve hole to make a nice seal. Nice press down. And off we go. Stretch it out a bit, make sure it's sitting nice and central. Get the rag so you're pushing it really nicely into that well. There's plenty enough tape to do 2 wheels twice round. And it adds barely any weight. There we go, valve hole is here, so we're going to pass over the valve hole. Go say another spoke and a half distance. And then we're going to chop the tape. then just make sure it's pushed nicely into the well. Beautiful. I get a nice blunt tool. Push it into all nooks and crannies, so you know that nowhere's going to get through there whatsoever. Now it's time to pop a valve in. There it is. And continue the hole pushing through. There we are. And then with Enve rims, you've always got to use their blow-off valve. Other manufacturers have a hole in the side of the rim. Because Enve's are fully moulded and they don't drill any of their holes, they're all moulded holes, even for the spokes. They don't drill the side of the rim. So instead, they've integrated a nice little hole into the lock ring. So if any air does build up in the cavity of the rim for whatever reason, it means it's got a place to escape, so you're not going to get any problems with that. There you go. It's time for the tyres. And again, we're going to put sealant in. There we go. Just make sure the tyres all the way in. It's nice, got a tube to pinch. Just be really careful of tape. There we are.